I hope I'm in frame. I need to get a better camera for multiple reasons. But, hello, I am back. I'm a little calmer than I was in the last video. Helps to not eat half a bag of mango, like dried mango in the morning. But yeah, today I'm going to subject you guys to my poetry. So I love writing poetry. I mostly do a lot of haikus, but I haven't done any in a while, and I want to do some longer ones. And I actually haven't written or worked on a longer poem since I was in July, when I wrote 7 miles per persimmons, which I say that as if you could find that somewhere. I haven't published it anywhere on my website or anything. Maybe I should. I really love that. I'm really proud of it. But, so I figured today I would set myself a challenge. And so I'm gonna try to write 5 or 6 poems in an hour using different techniques or like prompts that I either have thought of in the last 15 minutes or I got out of a book, or I think that's it. Okay, so the 5 challenges or 5 prompt things. My earrings are really jingly. I haven't worn earrings in months, and I started to get worried that they would start to close off, which they did. But, sorry, I love them. They're so much fun. Yeah, anyways. So the 5 or 6 I'm going to try to do in an hour. I don't have like a length objective or goal. It's like longer than a haiku. But anyways, back to it. So I'm going to start with a line from another poem, and I'm going to choose one out of this book. It's a collection of mountain poems of Kenneth Rex Ross, who is one of my favorite poems. He's kind of seen as like the father of the Beat movement, and this is just a collection of his poetry and some of his writings regarding the mountains. Yeah, I love it so much, so I'm going to choose a random line and use that to start a poem of my own. Let's see, list. So Natalie Goldberg is another one of my favorite writers. I have this book and Writing Down the Bones, and I highly recommend them both. They're very inspiring. They offer a lot of insight into life as a writer, and also like little prompts, lists you can get to. So from this, I'm going to be writing a poem based on kind of a list. And I love it. So it's kind of similar to that first one where you try this opening line. I'll probably skip the opening line, but I love the one, what do you carry? So I'm going to be writing a poem starting with that. And then one I found, actually, no, I did find this one online. I looked at a list of like 101 poem prompts, and this was like the only one I liked. So you choose a letter, and then you pick 5 words that start with that letter. So like if I choose D, I would do like dragon, dungeons. I like playing D&D. Dragon fruit, doom, destiny. Hi, I am a nerd. Yeah, and then, yeah, so then you just work all those words into your poem. And then the next one is a renga, which is a Japanese kind of like poem, like poetry, like party poem kind of thing, where it's actually where haikus came from. So you have this, it starts off with I have to double check it, and I'm sure people do it differently. But you either start off with a 2-line, like haiku style poem, and then you get these little haikus, and everyone, like, it's usually collaborative. I clearly won't be doing it collaborative. This one is probably the one I'll go back to when I get stuck on other ones. And then you choose an aspect of that haiku and use it in your next haiku. So then you just keep going, and I've heard some of these can get to over like 100 verses long. I've always wanted to do it at a party, but my friends suck. And I say that with all the love in my heart. I love you guys. If you see this, you don't actually suck. You just have questionable party taste. yeah, and then fifth one is based on a dream. I've had some really vivid dreams lately, so I'm gonna try to bring those together. And lastly, composting old ideas. So this is my poetry book. Had it for a few years now, and I have a couple of pages of like notes, like this one that I started ages ago. So I think I'm gonna revisit that and try to make a new poem. So wish me luck. So I just finished writing 6 kind of longish poems with literally 20-something seconds left. Go me. Oh, that's fun. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fuck yeah! Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, I did take one break so that I could go use the bathroom, but other than that, a full solid, and like, I guess it doesn't matter because I did pause the timer when I went to the bathroom. So, yeah, 6 poems. Kind of crazy. And I'm gonna read 5 of them. The last one got a little heavy, and I'm not ready to share it yet. So, that was fun. Yeah, I'm gonna rest my elbow because now I'm holding this up. Yeah, so I think I learned a lot from that. And actually, I realized halfway through this is something like what Natalie Goldberg actually recommends in the book of hers I pulled out called The True Secret of Writing, where she actually describes in that a lot of the different methods she uses for her writing workshops, and one of them is just writing. Just one thing right after another for like a certain amount of time, and I feel like this was actually ended up, I didn't originally intend for it to be like this, but it kind of really turned into that. Or was that in the beginning and I just realized it after. So, yeah, that was really fun. And I guess I'm gonna read some poetry now. And welcome to the voiceovers. Alright, this first poem is one where I started with a line from another poem, one of Kenneth Rexroth's. I opened it to a random page and I didn't write what poem it came from, but the line is, "As long as we are lost. As long as we are lost, we should sing about it, raising voices and melodies under unfamiliar skies. Embrace the labyrinth of pine-dotted, sucking bog. White-throated sparrows join in, a raucous chorus, a triplet with the frogs. Reaching for shore, dry land, a firm hummock of peat moss to set my squelching boots, and drag my pack to begin the search for a trail back to camp, singing all the way. Or whistling, half-remembered, never-learnt Irish marching jigs. Black bears are smarter than to end up belly button-deep in cold bog soak, but I whistle and warble in greeting, nonetheless, a softly spoken neighbor. And then at last, the unfamiliar woods, cloaked in the same partridge berries, witch hobble, and fields of low-bush blueberries, but tree friends, recognizable after a summer spent roaming new as a formed city. Dropping my pack into the loam, I sit and reach out for the ripe purple fruit, and sit to savor before following the stream down to the lake." So one thing right off the bat that I really loved about this challenge was, actually with all of these poems, I ended up just going with the first thing I thought of. And for this one, I decided to take a shortcut through a bog one summer when I was doing some field courses in the Adirondacks. I'm originally from upstate New York, so that's where I went to college, and they had a field station at Cranberry Lake. And I got a little lost, but it was like a weekend, so I had the whole day to like get back to camp, and it was actually like super fun. So I haven't thought about that in quite a long time. And I think there's some workable stuff in here. Like, none of this is edited. I probably will edit it at some point, and maybe I'll make another video about it, but yeah, this one was just really fun. So the second one is, the list, which is actually a kind of prompt I took from The True Secret of Writing, and I decided to go with "What's in my bag?" I didn't like this one that much. It felt kind of forced.
But anyways, and it's not as long as the other ones, but that doesn't matter. It's an old, tattered thing, road-worn and weary, splitting open in the back where it rubs against my belt. A wallet floats, too big for what it actually holds. 2 passports hide, tucked away, left after a trip a year ago. In an outer pocket rests lip balm, tattered label from too many washing machines. Next to it is a stone, picked up in Sedona. It looked meaningful there, but now is forgotten. A handkerchief in need of ironing. I always forget where that one's gone. My old camera, it hasn't been charged, and the lens is scratched. 3 pens, but no notebook. I usually write messages on my palm. Seashells from that magical month in Maine, where I appreciated my body more than ever. Practical tweezers for splinters. So many splinters. No less than 5 crumpled receipts. I need to start throwing these out. And that one I just kind of ran out of stuff because I based this entirely on what I could remember was in my purse, and I didn't feel like taking the time to actually go look, so that's some of the contents of my purse. The third poem was the letter E, so I chose 5 words that started with E. First one was eagle, extension, eyes, enter, evangelize, and then I also added to that experience and engulfed. And it took me an embarrassing amount of time to think of 5 words that started with the letter E. Like, I call myself a writer. But, anyways. And this is another one of those things where it's based on an experience I had when I was really little, like 6 or 7, I think, about seeing this. Maybe it was. Anyways, I'll read the poem and then I'll tell the actual story. Because the poem tells the story. I first saw a great eagle when I was the tender age of 7, flying high and proud, massive against a pristine blue summer sky. No white head, no mottled juvenile, just soaring, evangelizing the freedom that comes from being a bird. No one believed me when I described the size and color, as if my child eyes had run an extended imagination program before my brain could process correctly. If you look for golden eagles or thunderbirds, you are sure to find them. Golden eagles are not native to New York, however, and I trust my child eyes when they saw the being. Before entering those fraught teenage years, I needed to experience the delight and wonder of a supernatural being engulfed with promises of another world alongside my own. So I tried the writing style a little more like paragraph style poem, which I don't think it worked at all. I think I could rework this a bit, but anyways, like, I saw this massive eagle, which actually do get frequently, well, every few years people will see them in, like, the Midwest, upper Midwest, and, like, I mean, like, the Iroquois and other indigenous groups do have thunderbirds, which could be based on those same thing. So I think even if it wasn't actually a thunderbird or one of these mystical great eagles, it's really magical to think about it like that. Just like a little special supernatural treat. Like, just this promise that I think a lot of people need that there is more to this world. Which, like, my background is very scientific ecology, but I still think we need to let ourselves be open to that kind of thing, because if you close yourself off to it, then I mean, if you're looking for something, you'll find it. If you're ignoring something, you will never see it. So that needs a lot of work. Yeah, but I didn't like that challenge so much. Anyways, next one was the renga. This one was super fun. So I kind of, I definitely don't use the 575 syllable programming one, or ideological blah blah blah, you know what I mean. When I write haiku, I pretty much only follow the two rules. The 2 rules that I chose is that it needs to be said in a single breath, so that really limits how long it is, and it relates to the natural world. So, here goes. Waves lap at the toes of ocean monoliths. Sweet wafts of pine in the surf, salty Pacific breaths. Cloaked in green needles, a patch of night sky, the jay croaks. Dying patches of juniper, the old nest is slowly excavated. Drought again, grass gives itself over to golden. Missile hops of grasshoppers, footsteps in the grass like fireworks. Across the bay, night sky becomes nebulous while we catch fireflies. Blinking in the dark, aquatic friends glow and flicker like childhood. Summer midnight, bottles of whiskey and trespassing to swim in the stars. Dreams of canyon camping, blanketed by the night and high rock walls. The valley opens, impossible to gauge the width, wrap yourself in the silence. At the ancient sunken heart, dusty, crusted land, a bowl in the desert. Entubed pillars rise, sand swaddled among a sea of maple and ash. And that's as far as I got. So, geographically, this poem goes all over the place based on my travels from Death Valley, the Pacific Northwest, to even, Bulgaria. That last one is based on this super awesome, not really a desert, but kind of a desert in the center of Bulgaria. It was super cool. And I really like that one. And then the last poem I'm going to share is the one based on a dream. And this is one I had a month ago. She comes to the shore where I am waiting. My bones knew she would arrive. I wade in, groping in the mud, caressed by wind-tossed cattails and errant maple leaves. She sits in the lawn, growing autumn gold and red to wait. I reach as deep as I dare go, bare toes still in dark muddy waters. The lilies are so close, bobbing pink just out of reach. I freeze, unable to swim out to them, locked in by the uncertainty of what I cannot see. The cattail banks grow cold. Once caressing leaves turn sharp against my cheek. My resolve flounders again, and I reach through the mud, desperate to bring one of these blessed lilies back to the shore for her. My fingers scrape root, rough and unyielding. I claw, and I dig, and I pull, bringing the lily to the surface. Mud in my eyes, I feel my way to shore. She wipes them clean, and I am heartbroken to see what I thought was a lily was only a chive, still blooming in the waves. Heart sinking fast, I return the chive to its soggy home, and lay to let the grass envelop me. So it's a dream because I was pulling chives out of water. But yeah, this is another one I think is workable at some point. So, woo!
Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed them, or I guess left with an interesting way to challenge yourself in your writing. I thought it was super useful. None of those poems are good on their own, I think, but with some work, I could definitely get something nice out of them, I think. And if not, I still don't feel like this was an hour and a half wasted, so yeah, like always, I don't know when I'll be back. Yeah,